And that was the title race well and truly back open, or is it? Did Chelsea actually unearth cracks in that Arteta model of play? We're going to talk about that big game yesterday, that red card from Caicedo. What is the issue with Chelsea's red card situation this season? I think that's 7 in total, which is absolutely crazy. Bounce backs for Liverpool and Manchester United this weekend. Big wins for them. Massive result for Sunderland. How good are they doing this season? Absolutely phenomenal from the Black Cats. I cannot believe it. Resurgence in Brighton. Fall off for Sean Dyche. Who were the winners? Who were the losers? We're going to go through all of the games. We're going to go through all of the big headlines here on Football Talks. Get into the live chat and give me your comments below. What was the outstanding result of the weekend? We are going to start with that big game. The big game of the weekend yesterday, though. Stamford Bridge, Chelsea versus Arsenal. And Chelsea with 10 men taking the game to Arsenal. Quite a lot of Chelsea fans going in on Arsenal fans saying that Arteta is simply just copying the Chelsea game plan. Where did that come from all of a sudden? Arsenal aren't the prettiest side to watch at times, in particular in the Premier League. The Champions League is a different ball game, it would seem, for Arsenal. And you know what? Looking at the game, looking at how it all panned out, you would have thought Arsenal would have taken it to Chelsea in that game. A lot of people picking up on the fact that missing certain defenders like Saliba, like Gabriel, is definitely a bit of a drop-off for Arsenal. And there are weaknesses in that side. The intensity isn't there. And it goes to show, doesn't it? Injuries can obviously determine seasons. And they can change moments in games as well. And I think Arsenal without key players... The thing with Arsenal, and the thing that I think everybody's looking at, though, they're getting through these games. A draw away at Stamford Bridge isn't a bad result. Drawing against your rivals, not losing to your rivals and picking up points maybe in the home games here and there is good enough to win the title, as long as you go through the other games and get the points necessary. Now, Arsenal away from home, I've come unstuck recently. Remember the Sunderland game, and then obviously Chelsea away from home, so no win in the last 2 away from home for Arsenal. Coming up against good teams, though, I don't mind, like both Chelsea and Sunderland right up there in the top 6, and getting points away from home from them will probably be seen in wider circles as good results, you could say. But again, are we just seeing little chinks there in Mikel Arteta's plan? I still feel like the squad depth will see Arsenal through in this, because they got through that game. Don't forget, I know it was 10 men, Chelsea, and a lot of people were saying that they should have just taken the game to Chelsea and Arsenal should have won that game comfortably. They should have taken advantage of another Chelsea meltdown, which it was. Caicedo, you absolute crazy man. What? More on that in a minute, but again, Arsenal. Did you see Arsenal actually bottle anything yesterday? Now, that's the words. I mean, I'll tell you what I'll do right now. Someone's just put a great comment in the live chat there. And get into the comment section when the live finishes as well. I'm just going to put a poll up now. And I'm just going to see where everybody's at with this one. Bear with me a second. Right, that poll is up now. Will Arsenal bottle this title? It's what people are talking about. I mean, a draw at Stamford Bridge against a Chelsea side who are in form and are looking good at the moment, off the back of a fantastic result against Barcelona in the week. Don't get me wrong, Arsenal had an even better result against Bayern Munich, because Bayern Munich are a miles better side than Barcelona at the moment, in my opinion. But still, I looked at that and I don't get the full... I'm not with the full bottle job moment for Arsenal here. And I know a lot of people will be disappointed with that. I don't think they are showing signs of bossing. I think they've ground out results. And I think they're always going to go on that sort of run where they can go 5 or 6 games in a row, win, and just move further and further away in the league table. I mean, when you look at the league table right now as it is, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, Villa, that's your top 4 right now. Arsenal have dropped a few points in the last few games. So they're now 3 wins in the last 5, Arsenal, like we said. They've dropped 4 points now in the last 3 matches. And away from being not so much criticised, but questioned, I think is the right word. Are we seeing that moment? They've still only lost 1 game this season. You need to remember that. The closest that there is to them in that record is Chelsea themselves with 3 defeats this season. And Villa as well. Credit to them. We'll talk about them a bit later as well in terms of their form. But Manchester City got a reprieve and are now back in the race again after their late win against Leeds. But 5 points clear after 13 games. That isn't enough to tell me that they are miles ahead of everybody else. They're not. Quite clearly they're not. And I just look at that and I go, how the hell are Arsenal so good, so consistent, and everybody else is being questioned and are nowhere near the same level? How are Arsenal only 5 points clear after over a dozen games? It should be, the gap should be bigger, it seems. It just feels like it should be bigger, doesn't it? It feels like with the way that Arsenal have been and the way that everyone else has been, that they should be miles ahead, but they're not. They're literally 2 games away, and Arsenal still have to go and play Manchester City at the Etihad. Can City keep up their consistency? That's a big thing, because City were awful against Leeds, and that's just going off what City fans were saying on Saturday to me. They were saying we were lucky to win that game. And again, if Erling Haaland does not score, City struggle, and Leeds away form pretty much gets Manchester City the win there. Everybody had it down as a City easy home banker. It was anything but. And the injury time goal from Phil Foden, and moments in games and goals do change the outlook of the Premier League. And that again there, just like that, City back in second, only 5 points behind Arsenal. And last weekend's nightmare, where Arsenal won and everyone lost, has been near enough wiped out. Just a point difference. That's what we're talking about right now. How are Arsenal not further away in this? The poll is up and the poll is running right now in the live chat. Get your comments in as well on this, please, everybody. I'm going to get in there as well now. Will Arsenal bottle this title? 68% of you so far are saying yes. Let's get some more votes in that. If you haven't already voted and you're watching, get into the live chat and give me your vote on that, please, everybody. I'll get a comment in as well. How many times have Chelsea played with 10 men this season? It's quite a few games. I think it's... If you add Maresca's red card, I think it's 7 red cards this season for them. That is one hell of a stat, isn't it? It's staggering. It's... I don't get it. It's mad. It is. United could win the league yet, says Andy. The league table is telling us something at the moment. It is. It's telling us that you are not going to walk away with this title or comfortably sit in that top 4. Any result can change anything. For instance, what I mean by that is City are 5 points away. They can be on Arsenal's coattails in one weekend. But then again, City could be out of the top 4 in one weekend. It is absolutely mental right now. And the league table, just to put it in perspective, let's just say you're in 3rd place in the league, a third of the way through the season. You're thinking you're comfortable and you're doing well. And then when somebody tells you, well, you are 6 points away from 14th. 14th in the league is 6 points off the 3rd place. 7 points. So, for instance, Everton got battered by Newcastle this weekend, 4-1. Absolutely embarrassing for Everton and for Man United, to be honest. The fact that we couldn't score past Everton and Newcastle went and mullered them. Everton in 14th are you ready for this? 7 points off second. I know 7 points seems quite a decent gap at the moment, and obviously you are going to need to be consistent, and Everton are not. I just wanted to make the point that there tells you everything. The top 10 in the league are separated from 3rd to 10th by 5 points. That's the top 10. So City can drop out of the top 10 in one weekend. Arsenal can be hauled back in one weekend. It is there for everybody. It is wide open, this league this season. And do you know what? I think it's probably going to be one of the most intense and exciting seasons that we've seen in years. Nobody's running away with top 4. Nobody's running away with the league title right now, even with Arsenal and their consistency. You look at the relegation zone at the bottom of the table as well, and you're looking at Nottingham Forest on 12 points, West Ham 11, Leeds 11, Burnley 10. Wolves are dead. They're gone completely. No wins in 13. They are on track for the worst ever Premier League season right now, and it is looking very, very doable for them as well. But Burnley on 10, I think it's between, I reckon, personally looking at the league table, Fulham have done well recently and have just pulled themselves right back out of the mire there and pulled themselves away from the relegation zone with 3 wins in the last 4. That was much needed for Fulham this week. I can go through the games in a minute, actually. We are going to go through them all because I want to do my predictions from what I set out on Friday. In fact, I'm going to get them up on my phone so I don't forget this week. And I think what the fixtures shown this weekend as well in the Premier League is that, where are they gone? Oh God, I've lost my bloody predictions now for some reason. No, I've not. I've got them back again. Right, I'll do that in a moment. I just think it's all looking very exciting. I mean, who'd have thought Newcastle coming back from the international break would be right up there and 6 points off the top 4, sat in 13th position in the league. Massive wins for so many teams this weekend. Overall, looking at that poll and Arsenal, the top dogs, what is going to happen? Can Arsenal actually clinch it this time? If they don't this season, they're never going to win it. I think that's the thought of everybody. I think it is. I don't know. I can't make my mind up about Arsenal if they're going to do it or not. I would say no. I think they're going to win the league. I do. I've not seen any conviction from any of the other teams. You'd have thought Chelsea, Liverpool, City were the ones that were going to fight. Chelsea, I think, are the closest. That's it. Consistency-wise, it's Chelsea. I think that are going to push more. But then they are an inexperienced side and they could fall off as well going into the latter stages of the season as well. Manchester City are showing nothing in terms of consistency at all this season. They had a little bit of a run about a month ago, but they have fallen off badly since and just about got away with it this week. Pep Guardiola coming back from Newcastle 2-1 and then obviously Leverkusen being beaten at home as well by them comfortably. And then just about scraping over the line against Leeds, who are relegation fodder. I just don't see enough. And I think City fans are concerned at the moment that they're nowhere near where they should be for the amount of money that they have spent and Pep Guardiola being the manager. I just don't think the balance is there in the City team at the moment. And I said it before, if Haaland doesn't score, City struggle. He doesn't score again and they're just about getting over the line against Leeds. It's there. For me, it's Chelsea. Chelsea are the ones, and I think when they get Cole Palmer back as well, fully firing, maybe get a couple of centre-backs back in there as well, I think Chelsea can be a force. They have to start learning how to get through games without getting red cards, though. It's ridiculous. Caicedo's challenge on Moreno yesterday was absolutely awful. Why? You don't need to do... Is it me? I'm looking at that and I'm going, why is his head gone there? He is seen as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. And the question was asked, did the comparison to Declan Rice get to Caicedo's head yesterday? And did he lose it? Did he have that moment where it was like, bang, yeah, I've got to do more. I've got to do more. And just a little bit overzealous in one tackle and you put your team on the back foot. It's ludicrous, Chelsea's season for red cards. But that tackle, if I'm a teammate of Caicedo, I'm giving him a slap round the back of the head going down that tunnel going, thanks, mate. You cannot do that. Everybody knows what the referees are looking for. Everybody knows there's VAR. So them tackles that you think you can get away with, them tackles that you think you can just leave one on, the levelers, like us old school players used to always love. It's like, you'll get away with that. It's the first half. You ain't getting away with nothing. These players were all schooled up on what VAR and the referees were going to do this season. They knew the guidelines, and Caicedo knew what he was doing there yesterday. You can talk about all of the Chelsea players and the manager being baffled by what's happening, can't believe what's happened. That was a red card. It was beyond reckless. It's above the ankle, red, see you later, game plan out of the window. This is why the question of Arsenal bottling it has actually come up, because at that moment, like we said earlier on, Arsenal should be taking that game away from Chelsea. That's the one thing I'm undecided on everything in terms of who goes down, who gets top 4 and who wins the league. I'm edging more to feeling comfortable with Arsenal winning the league than any of the other parts of the season, relegation, top 4. I think the title will go to Arsenal from what I've seen so far. Top 4, no idea. Actually, no idea. I think Chelsea will just about do enough to convince me that they are comfortably going to finish top 4. I think the other 2 places, maybe 5th place as well, if the cohesion kicks in, which we're expecting it to do with the performances in Europe from English sides. I think the next 3 places are completely up for grabs for anybody. And I mean anybody. Brighton right now. I mean, let's get into the games actually and go through each game from this weekend and break it all down because, wow, absolutely mega matches this weekend. What a weekend it was. Shocks, surprises everywhere. I mean, we'll start with Brentford and I'll go through my predictions as well on this one. On everything that I think is going to happen. I said that Brentford would win 2-0 and Thiago would score. Brentford won 3-1 and Thiago did score. So that is a win for me on game number 1. I'm going to write these down actually because last weekend I got, what did I get? I got 3 correct results out of 10. I had an absolute nightmare last week. So, right, so let's do that one. I'm going to write these down. So, game 1, so Brentford won 3-1, so that's a win for me on that one. By the way, Brentford's home form, absolutely brilliant. And their position in the league table right now, well deserved as well, Brentford. Sat in there in top 10 on 19 points. With that poor away form that Brentford have got, goes to show how impressive they have been at home this season. Absolutely amazing. 21 goals they've scored, Brentford. 21 goals. Just to put that in perspective, the leading goal scorers in the league, Manchester City, have got 27. Arsenal, the league leaders, have got 25. Brentford, they are a goal-scoring machine. On 21 goals, yes, they conceded 20, but still, if you're scoring goals, you're always going to be up there. Goals are the be-all and end-all, and it just goes to show the top 3 in the league are the top 3 goal scorers this season, and there's been nothing like consistency needed to stay up there, has there? So, yeah, goals are gold in this Premier League, and Brentford, wow, absolutely, it's just showing that it is doable. They haven't spent much money. They've lost the captain. They lost the leading goal scorer, the star player. They lost their stand-in Wissa to him as well, and they've just carried on. They're doing even better without Mbumo, Frank, and Juan Wissa, and the captain as well. No, God, honestly, you couldn't have scripted it. That's the brilliance of the Premier League. I'd have Brentford written off completely this season, and they have shut me right up. Congratulations to Brentford. They're having a fantastic season, and massive respect to them. Moving on to what I thought was an absolutely brilliant result this weekend, and that was for Sunderland. I didn't have Sunderland winning. I went 1-1 for this game and got it wrong completely. I thought it was going to be a stalemate, but Sunderland going behind and then coming back and beating Bournemouth, I think is one of the standout results of the weekend. And again, when you look at Sunderland and you look at their position in that league table, unbelievable. 6 in the league, 22 points. They've got a great defensive record as well, Sunderland. One of the best defences in the top 10. Only 13 goals conceded. Starting to obviously concede a lot more now that there's bigger games coming, but 22 points, right up there. 6 in the league, comfortably. Actually, 3 points off Manchester City in second after a third of the season played. Sunderland are staying up. There's nothing else they are staying up. That start to the season is keeping them in the league. That's all that they would have wanted coming into the Premier League this season. And they've done it already for me. The drop-off that they would have to have now to be relegated is ridiculous. It'd be losing 6 or 7 games in a row. That's the drop-off that they would need now to be relegated. I think that the confidence that they have got from that start to the season is more than enough to keep them safe in the league. And that start will keep them in the Premier League this season, because I think they will drop. But look, we're 13 games in and they're still there. I think after Christmas and January, when that kicks in, I think you'll see maybe mid-table for Sunderland is my prediction. And I mean that with no disrespect to them at all. They deserve to be where they are. But that, I think, is outstanding from Sunderland. Newly promoted, first time back in the Premier League. I got that result wrong, though, so unfortunately for me, that was a blot for me and a loss on that one. Moving on to the next game, which was Manchester City against Leeds. Leeds very, very unlucky in this game. To come back from 2-0 down, to level that up and then get to injury time, I think was a brilliant performance and probably keeps Daniel Farke in a job, or does it? Do you think he'll be sacked after losing again? Because their form is falling off a cliff now, Leeds. They are falling and falling fast. When you look at their form, let's just have a quick look at Leeds' form. Last 5 games, it is 1 win in 5, and they've lost the last 4. Relegation zone now, obviously, as well with that form. Only on goal difference. Goals scored, in fact, to West Ham is the fact that Leeds are in the relegation zone. But they are just on a steady decline now. Daniel Farke will probably keep his job after that spirited performance, I think. No, I mean, that's just enough. And again, it's hard, isn't it? Coming into the Premier League, he was looking like he was clinging on to his job even after promotion, which sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But that's the way it is. That is the way it is now. Let's get some comments in on this, actually. Talk to me about these games, these teams, who is actually showing their worth right now, who is surprising you. Frank should have stayed at Brentford. He's a dead man walking at Spurs. We're moving on to them. Moving on to them next. That was a mental game, that, by the way. Sunderland now, that's a team with fight and ability. Yes, it is. And Sunderland lost to us, our only clean sheet this season. It's a good point, Stephanie, as well. And just goes to show Manchester United have beaten a lot of the teams ahead of them. Adam, I would like to see you live stream more Man United streams the same way you did the Crystal Palace match. Watch-alongs, mate. That's what we want. We're going to be doing a few more of them, actually, mate. So definitely, Gregory, buddy. Might catch a game at Stadium of Light when I retire to North East next year. Go for it, Greg, mate. Hopefully you do. It's a good atmosphere at Sunderland. I'll tell you that for nothing. Right, getting back into the other games again, because someone did just mention Spurs. We'll move on to Everton versus Newcastle first of all. Where the hell did this result come from? Honestly, I didn't have this one down at all. Everton, I had winning this game 1-0. 4-1 to Newcastle. That's a loss. By the way, I got my win for the City win, so I predicted that one. So 2 out of 4 so far, but Newcastle, wow, all of a sudden, back-to-back wins, and Eddie Howe is on the march again. Fantastic result for Newcastle. First away win of the season for Newcastle, by the way. Much needed for Eddie Howe, and I think he's now starting to get a tune out of the newer signings as well. Voltemada with another goal for them. That's great for Newcastle. Obviously, lacking goals this season, but that has just moved them into contention. Now on to 18 points, and of course that is only 6 off Chelsea in third in the table. So not over yet for Newcastle and Eddie Howe and their hunts. Bad result in the week as well in Europe for them, though. So it's hard balancing Champions League and Premier League football. And this going into the busy December fixture period is going to be key, I think, going in. And obviously Newcastle have got a massive game against Spurs tomorrow. That one, I think, is going to be crucial for both of them sides. I think Newcastle beat Spurs, and let's move on to them. Thomas Frank in a world of trouble. I didn't fancy Spurs. I did not think that they were going to get the win at Fulham. I thought Fulham would make it difficult for them. I was right, but I didn't get the result right. I went 1-1. I said Moani would score for Spurs, but it would be 1-1. And again, Newcastle versus Spurs there. What was Vicario doing, by the way, in that game? Did you see Vicario against Fulham? And all of a sudden, the Thomas Frank affair has well and truly ended, hasn't it? Spurs are sat 12th now. So where's this challenging Spurs side that I was told we're going to be right up there this season after that start from Thomas Frank? That's 1 win in 5. 3 defeats and 1 draw in the last 4 games. The draw came against Manchester United. That was the last point in the Premier League for Spurs at home to Man United. Their home form is absolutely diabolical. It is ridiculous. I don't think they've won since the opening game of the season, Spurs, at home right now. Sat down in 12th. Their big wins earlier on in the season are definitely helping them in terms of goal difference. 18 points now and starting to drop away. They were comfortably sat in the top 4 for a long time, Spurs here. But the importance of Newcastle versus Spurs tomorrow night is both teams sat on 18 points. And I think it's a test as to like who is going to actually react, well, not so much react in Newcastle's case, but who is going to use this game, who is going to come away from this game as the team that's serious contender for the European places. That's what I title that game as. That's a massive game tomorrow night. And Spurs, if they win it, they convince people that they are still in there. I don't think that Spurs squad is good enough. I thought Thomas Frank would struggle because of Champions League football for the first time and working at a big club for the first time, so-called big club for the first time. I didn't think he would be able to manage that, and it's starting to look that way. Don't want to play him down. I think he's a good manager. But at the start of that season, when everyone was talking up Thomas Frank, it was like, let's just give it a bit of time. Like, yeah, he's showing a little bit of something now, but when the games really start to mount up, a few injuries start to kick in, we'll see if Thomas Frank has got it and the expectation levels. Brentford are actually ahead of Tottenham in the league right now. After losing Frank, after losing Mbeumo, Wissa, Norgard, everything that happened to Brentford, Thomas Frank going on to bigger and better things, apparently. Further the way through the season, Spurs are sat below Bournemouth in the league table in 12th. That's not challenging for me. And that is Spurs on the decline I expected them to make. And there we go. I think the Premier League is starting to settle into somewhat of a more realistic look in terms of the teams that are going to be competing. A win for Spurs can propel them straight back in, but I think Newcastle beat them tomorrow and they drop even further down the table. In fact, with results going a certain way this week, Spurs could be down as far as 15th if results go a certain way this week. And I wouldn't be surprised if they did. And then what are people saying? Thomas Frank, someone said it in the comments just a moment ago, I think he might actually be a dead man walking. I think it's a thankless task managing Spurs right now. It really is. And I do think that he's in big trouble. Vicario doing a madness, said James. I was in a bar in town with Kaz and a few of the football girls on Saturday, and that game came on. I was watching it, and I was just and there's a City fan called Millie who was with us, and we were just talking before the game kicked off. And I said, I fancy Fulham. I don't like Spurs at all. I think they're really struggling here, and I think Fulham have got a chance here. And was talking the point, and then she went off to the toilet, came back, and she looked at the screen and went, "What the hell has happened?" The game had just kicked off, and literally the Spurs had lost the game. They'd scored 2 goals, and Vicario had just done an absolute madness, like James said in the chat there. Absolutely ridiculous. Watching that, oh my days! It was, what's he thinking? I tell you what a finish from Wilson though. Wilson absolutely bang on with that finish. It was brilliant, and I do think that he deserves a lot of praise for that. But that result there, again, it was a loss for me because I picked 1-1 again. I'm being absolutely destroyed here. I'm right and I'm wrong in a way, because I did think that Spurs would struggle, and they did, just to the extent I got it wrong, that's all. Right, moving on to the next game. That was obviously United versus Crystal Palace. I got the result right in that one, so I'm going to take my win there. I'm already better than I was last week, so I've already beat last week's score, thankfully. I had Bruno to score, United to win 1-0. Same margin. I'll take the win. We've already talked enough about Manchester United. I think this is a great chance, this next couple of games. West Ham and Wolves back-to-back now. The next 2 games for United. They should be, realistically, in the top 4 come the Bournemouth game. And I'm looking at the form of them teams, West Ham, Wolves and Bournemouth right now. United have to fancy their chances in them games. All leading up to a massive game at Villa Park on the 21st of December. Them games for United there now, West Ham, Wolves and Bournemouth, that's massive. That's absolutely huge for us. And I think we should be taking advantage of them looking at that on paper. West Ham, I had down to beat Liverpool. That did not happen. Liverpool have bounced back. I got that one wrong as well. Liverpool, not convincing by any stretch, but a very important win for them. A good away win as well. Just puts them straight back up there in contention alongside Manchester United on the same points right now. I'd have taken that as a United fan at the start of the season, by the way. A third of the way through the season, and you are level points with Liverpool, and you're also, 4 points behind Man City? Yeah, all day long. But Liverpool just about clinging on and are in the fight for top 4, I would say. At 9 points off Arsenal, still a bit of a stretch for them. Obviously, they clawed the gap back to 9 points from 11 from last weekend. You could say that they've brought it back a bit, and there's a half a chance if Liverpool get their act together. But it's just so unconvincing from Liverpool right now. I just don't see them mounting a charge at all. I don't see them mounting anything consistently. Look, never say never. They're the champions, and they've got a good enough squad there to go on a run, but 13 games in, 9 points off, I still fancy Arsenal. And even if Liverpool did manage to fight their way back into the top 4, they're nowhere near where Arsenal are right now. And I think it's beyond them. So, still not convincing, but much needed win. Arne Slot keeps his job for another week, it would seem. Villa, I had down to beat Wolves 3-0. Wasn't convincing at all, but I got the result right. So, there's my 4th win of the weekend. Very important win. Great goal in that as well from Kamara. Fantastic finish to win it. Brilliant saves in that game from Emi Martinez, though, by the way. Now, I don't know if European football caught up a little bit with Villa in that game. It could have had an effect on them. But Wolves played really well in that game and created a lot of chances too. So I think goals disallowed as well for Strand Larsen in that one was also important to remember that they did worry Villa. Do us as United fans look at that as a bit of a worrying sign that they're coming into a bit of form ahead of next Monday's game? I wouldn't say just yet. I think Villa being in Europe were definitely playing a part in that one. But when you look at the games coming up for Wolves in particular now, Nottingham Forest on Wednesday night at home, I think that's going to be an important one for them. Can Forest bounce back? That's interesting because back-to-back home games now for Wolves. Can they take advantage? It's Forest and Man United for them. But Villa got the win, and I got the win with that one. So that's all important. That's 4 wins for me now from the game so far. What have we got left? I had Forest to beat Brighton. Got that wrong. Brighton coming well and truly back into it. And I think really making a statement there. Brighton now, when you look at the league table, Brighton in 5th. It just didn't look like Brighton had it in them, but credit again to Herzler, the manager there. He's brought them back again. Shaky start, but their form is decent. That's 3 wins in the last 4 and 1 draw for Brighton. So 10 from 12 for them has brought them back up there. 22 points and in 5th place at the moment for them. They'll take that, definitely. 1 defeat in 5 for them. And form is good. Form is good. Last defeat was against Manchester United, and they've pulled 10 points from 12 since losing to Manchester United. So that is a very, very good run of games for Herzler. And Brighton showing signs. Danny Welbeck, 3rd highest leading goal scorer in the Premier League, by the way. Well done, Danny Welbeck. 7 goals this season. Absolutely phenomenal for him and the age that he is to be doing that. But massive credit to Hertzler and Danny Welbeck in particular there, and the way that has turned around for Brighton, scoring plenty of goals, performing well, and more than deserved the win against Forest yesterday. Listening to that game on the way to my game, they were battering. I think they had somewhat like 9 shots in the first 16 minutes on Nottingham Forest goal, Brighton. They absolutely deserved their win yesterday, and Forest were taken apart. Forest again, and teams after European football really struggling this week in the Premier League. So that's something that we obviously brought up and pay attention to. Forest, Palace, Villa, all teams struggling after European exploits. Obviously Liverpool, that shows how important that win was for them against West Ham, and maybe you look at that as a bigger win. But obviously again there you're looking at Manchester City needing to do the same. Arsenal and Chelsea both dropping points after European exploits as well. Spurs, I don't even have to talk about Spurs. Obviously, the last game was the 1-1 draw. I said 1-1 for Arsenal. So I've gone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've not done too bad actually there today. I've got half of the results right this week. So I'll take that. Last weekend was last weekend was a non-starter for me. Absolutely appalling. But this week, I'm taking that and taking my 5 wins. I'll do more predictions. Probably, I'll put a show out maybe later on tonight ahead of this week's midweek fixtures. Full week of games in the Premier League from Tuesday to Thursday this week, everybody. So we'll have a few of them covered. We might do something here on Football Talks. We're going to do Rival Watch on FUTV as well for a couple of games this week. So we'll keep you up to date with what content's coming up this week. But the poll as it finishes, will Arsenal bottle this title? 70% of the vote has said yes so far. Well, that is it for the show today, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Enjoy your Monday, United fans. Enjoy your Monday if your team won this weekend. And it all starts again tomorrow. Another game week in progress from tomorrow, and we'll have it all covered here on Football Talks and FUTV. Cheers for watching, everybody. Please pop a like on the video when it finishes, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all later on. Have a good one, people.